to finish off this post-sentencing hearing. Considering that I watched Wakanda Forever just yesterday, which, by the way, you can check out my out of the theater reaction for Wakanda Forever right under my YouTube shorts. No spoilers, of course. You're just going to hear my candid thoughts and facial expressions. So there's that. And, we are going to be reviewing Wakanda Forever this Tuesday. Anyway, I thought, what better way to maintain the Black Panther spirit than going over existing non-spoiler reviews for the movie. Now, keep in mind, before I proceed with this segment, Wakanda Forever, as of today, Friday, November 11th, 2022, has already come out yesterday in most places around the globe. And if you're listening to this podcast while you're on your way to the cinema, mall, or wherever to watch it, because I can't imagine that there are a vast majority who just want to go, call dibs on the seats already, right? Then maybe it's best to cleanse your mind from any negative or positive review that I might read, and put this podcast aside. Go enjoy yourselves. Don't worry, you already gave me your click. Actually, no, just kidding. Just pause this episode, like it if you're, enjoying what you're hearing so far, and then unpause it again after you're done watching Black Panther, if you're going to watch it now. To everyone else who isn't going to see the movie at this particular point of time or straight away, stick around, because I think that it's, always good to hear others' perspectives that might elevate your hype a bit. Now, let's read what the MCU Direct has to say. So it begins with a quote, "In my culture, death is not the end." And it was posted by Matt on November 8th, 2022. Okay, let's start reading. Black Panther Wakanda Forever was never originally supposed to be the movie it ended up becoming. After the tragic passing of MCU icon Chadwick Boseman, this movie needed to become something more than a sequel to Black Panther, a billion-dollar phenomenon that revolutionized the genre. Ryan Coogler and his team were challenged to deliver a movie that pays tribute to their fallen leading man while also evolving this franchise to continue in his honor. And they had just done that. Okay, you know what? Let's just scroll down. The loss of a king, the rise of a nation. Alright. Let's talk about what the Direct has to say about the performances. I'm not going to read the whole article, obviously. So, continuing on. This movie does an outstanding job of handling this real-world loss with love and thoughtfulness. At the same time, Letitia Wright uses that motivation to bring Shuri into a new tier of MCU heroes. This is a must-see performance on screen and in the writer's room. Shuri and her family's loss is the heart of the story. It is driven by this conflict between land and sea that brings tension to every scene. The first Black Panther has hints of espionage that can go unnoticed behind the Spielbergian conceptualization of Wakanda. It is back in Wakanda Forever with a classic spy movie sequel twist, an enemy that can go toe-to-toe with Wakanda. This balance of emotional weight and intensity-ridden suspense creates a complex tone that does not surrender to the classic MCU charm. There is a Captain America the Winter Soldier vibe in this one that Phase 4 has lacked thus far. Okay, let's go over one more category. A Wakandan blockbuster. Interesting that I mentioned that, because, it's not just any blockbuster, it's a Wakandan one. So, cathartic, emotional journeys, intimidating invasive threats, and a whole lot of whiz-bang to go along with it. This movie does not lack that MCU touch that many believe Eternals did. It simply redirects to the action of the movie. It's interesting how the Direct wants to utilize Eternals as an example to substantiate a category in the article, because I think the Eternals, one of its strengths, even though it's on my top 5 least MCU films, was that it didn't rely on the MCU touch. It tried to be a isolated picture. So, it's interesting how, according to this article's perception, Mike, is it? Is that his name? I believe I read it in the beginning of no Matt. Yeah, sorry, I forgot the name of whoever written this article, but like, yeah, I don't think a movie that lacks the MCU touch is necessarily a bad movie. Now, Wakanda Forever is filled with MCU formula spins, but it okay, I'm not gonna elaborate on that. Continuing on, the story is more serious and heartbreaking than most MCU films. That's true, but it is cut with a range of action sequences that bring the popcorn. That's also true. This includes intense and energetic chase scenes, massive set-piece battles between powerful armies, and a climatic final battle where every punch means something. Adding a great deal to this energy is Dominique Thorne's Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, the newest addition to the MCU roster of heroes. Thorne brings that classic audience perspective into this world, while still holding her own in every respect. With her new series set to release in fall 2023, this is an excellent debut that will get fans excited for more Riri. Another dash of MCU-ness is the world building, both big and small. Without getting into spoilers, let's just say that Wakanda is set to continue being a major piece in the game of chess being played in MCU. As the article said, it's not getting into any spoilers, neither am I going to elaborate on what they mentioned in this article. Despite the sometimes polarizing reaction to the product that is Phase 4, Black Panther Wakanda Forever continues to excel at what Phase 4 has done best: characters. Okay, you know what? Let's get into the last line of the article. Chadwick Boseman's death is honored without question, but what honors him even more is the evolution of this franchise and how the words Wakanda Forever will continue to ring throughout fandom for years to come. Okay, guys, so we're done reading the Direct. The Direct, based on the review article, gave Wakanda Forever a mostly positive review. And by the way, I'm just going to remind you again, I myself watched the movie, okay? And you're going to hear my in-depth, spoiler-free and spoiler-filled commentary this coming Tuesday at 5:29 p.m. Dubai Standard Time. On top of that, the live chat will be open where you can engage with other listeners about the movie. If you're dying to hear my first impressions immediately, and I mentioned this before, like 2 times in this podcast already, I did a YouTube short, which is titled Wakanda Forever Out of Theater Reaction for the Black Panther 2 movie. So you can, check it out on YouTube. Alright, now it's time to get into another review for Wakanda Forever. And this time, it's coming from none other than 7GN, ladies and gentlemen. That was a joke, by the way, because IGN always likes to give a 7 out of 10 in a majority of the reviews. Not all of them, but most. I don't know how they do it, you guys, but anyway, let's read your review article, shall we? Okay, so let's read from IGN. In the cinematic universe, where half of all living beings have already died and come back to life, Black Panther Wakanda Forever reminds us that losing one person can feel just as devastating. The death of T'Challa and actor Chadwick Boseman weighs heavy on Wakanda Forever, with the fictional nation struggling to replace both their monarch and their champion, and Marvel Studios deciding how to honor a man it was clearly ready to work with. Everyone in Shuri's life is urging her to let T'Challa go, and her tendency to lash out in those cases goes a long way towards grounding Wakanda Forever during its frequent flights of fancy. It's a sharp about face, but Wright's emotional, and intensity carry Shuri through that fraught grieving process. Director Ryan Coogler builds Shuri's slide into despair up to one of Wakanda's most jaw-dropping scenes, an unbearably tense moment of self-reflection that serves as a reminder that the well-deployed exchange between two characters can be just as breathtaking as a grand battle for the fate of two nations. Okay then, let's talk about one more review and then let's just call it a night. This one is coming from Collider. So we're going to read that, and then we're going to wrap up our Wakanda Forever review segment. At the beginning of Wakanda Forever, we find the title country in grief, shocked by the passing of their king. And in these moments, it's hard not to think back to when Boseman died. A shock that seemed like it couldn't be true. You know, I thought it was a joke. So I was just like, okay, maybe I should just check out the post. And then when I found out that Chadwick Boseman died from his illness, man, I honestly couldn't comprehend it. It felt unreal. So, like, if they planned for Black Panther to die from the very beginning in Wakanda Forever, clearly it would have been too rushed to make him die in the second movie. But they had no choice. Well, they could have recast him, but that's a discussion for another time. Okay. That was obviously not scripted, but it's best that you know my thought process when I look at reviews for the movie. I've looked at some of them before I watched Wakanda Forever, and in a way, it kind of gave me a little taste of what I was going in for. So, there's that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that just about does it for our Wakanda review segment. If you're eagerly waiting to hear mine, which is going to be a lot more structured, because I won't be reading it off from somewhere, it's going to be from my own head. You know what? One could argue my head ain't structured, but it's pure chaos in there. Anyway, you can either click our YouTube channel and find my Out of Fear reaction, or turn on your notifications. Wait until Tuesday, where we'll be talking about Wakanda Forever in more depth. But in the meantime, I would be interested in reading your thoughts, if any, about Wakanda Forever.